Hello, everyone. First of all, Happy New Year. I wish you all a wonderful 2026, full of creativity and great moments. I'm Valeria from Street Macadam, and today we are here to interview Janusz Führer, a Switzerland-based street and urban photographer. So let's see if a lot of people are joining, which is good. Welcome. Thank you for joining this live. So Janusz, his work focus primarily in black and white, and he works a lot with light and shadow, and he intentionally restrains the human presence, so he can combine in that way emotional ambiguity with formal precision. So I'm going to pause a moment to see if Janusz will join us. I'm sure you will. And I hope your start 2026 with a lot of positive energy. So let me check if Janusz is already here. He is. Janusz, I'm going to invite. Meanwhile, I'm going to show one of his photos. Oh, sorry. Janusz, I'm a bit slow from the New Year's Eve still. How are you?
Hey, Valeria. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you
Yeah,
perfectly. And
super.
you?
Yeah, perfect. So, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How was your trip back from the mountains?
It was good. It was long, but it's two kids, 4 and 6, and they refused to go to sleep in the car. So I had my marathon of kids' songs in Swiss German.
I can imagine. Do you like to sing? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing here with the light, but are you a good singer?
No, I'm not. I really whatever capability I have in the visual arts, I sacrifice everything audio related.
Yeah, I'm a terrible singer as well. I'm really sad because when I go, to shower or something like that, I like to put some music. It would be wonderful to know how to sing. So tell me, can you tell us about how you started this journey in photography, how you developed your style as well?
Absolutely. So it's actually a bit difficult even to believe the number when I say it, but I guess it started seriously probably 25 years ago. So sometime in high school, and I think even before that, I got my first camera from my father, and then I also took over his camera when he kind of got maybe a bit less interested in photography. And I grew up in Poland, so these were Soviet
Where
cameras
in
at the
Poland?
time. In so it's a town called Sieradz, and it's not that far from Łódź, which is the kind of the film school in Poland. And that is only 4 letters, but 3 of them are typically Polish. So you would spell it in just in usual letters, Lodz, Lodz.
I never heard of it, but I mean,
It's straight in the middle. So
okay.
somewhere between Warsaw and Krakow. Um, so the first cameras were Soviet. It was the one that I got was a Smiena for those who know these cameras, and the one that I took from my father was a Zenit. And funnily enough, I think years later, I noticed when I got a bit more serious about photography, I noticed that the lens that my father was using, which was a 50 millimeter, had a massive front focus. So every picture was slightly blurred. but for me it was kind of it was all black and white, and at that time and it was very magical, and it seemed like they should look like that. But then I noticed no, there was actually a lens problem. Um, and yeah, but I got interested in photography myself in high school, around I don't know 17 probably. Um, and then when I went to university, my flatmate was studying architecture, and they had to take photography classes, and this is how it started with street photography for me because
You're a lawyer, right?
I'm a lawyer by education and my profession right now. Yeah.
How does that
So
influence your work? Do you think it has it's relatable or no?
it definitely impacted how I photographed, and what you said in the intro, that I'm a bit I'm focusing on ambiguity, and trying not to invade the private space of people. It's a combination of uh, I'm naturally focused on in Switzerland, uh, and for those who maybe tried street photography in Switzerland or in France, these are the two countries in Europe that were actually the subject of the photo owns the copyright. So you're not actually allowed to do anything commercially with a picture without consent, regardless if if the person in the photo is the subject of the photo, or it's just an accidental presence. It doesn't matter. So kind of this, even this understanding already impacted uh, my
So in
photography.
Switzerland, it's not allowed to take pictures of people on the street unless they
Um,
consent.
I wouldn't say that hard. It's the typical lawyer's answer is it depends. And obviously, it depends what you do with the picture afterwards. If you do it and you don't profit out of it, you don't sell it, you don't commercialize it, then there is a bit more leeway. But if you would start, exhibiting these pictures, then potentially the people in the pictures could have some legal claims.
I'm a lawyer as well. I was, but I never practice actually. I don't have that constraint as you have. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I started in London, and then actually I think UK is very flexible in terms of street photography. Here in Portugal resembles a bit like Switzerland, and also people are not very open to be captured, let's say. But even so, we risk it, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all risk it for the love of the art, right? But I actually went a couple of times to Portugal,
I saw
and I
you have
love
a
it.
photo here. I have a photo here.
Yeah, I just love it. This is the one picture that a bit breaks my heart to put it in black and white, because the colors in Portugal and in Lisbon, this was taken in Lisbon, are amazing. The light is amazing. You have this, and it's always this mixture, of I think all of us who sometimes go to color photography, we all know how complementary golden, yellow, and blue is. And this is Lisbon. The walls with um, what's it called in English? The tiles, the
Tiles,
blue
the tiles,
tiles,
yes.
and the golden light. It's just amazing. But here, the veil of the building that was being renovated added to this atmosphere, and the lady had also this kind of veiled appearance to her. So it still works in black and white, but this is one of the few pictures that I'm still on the
How
undecided
was
which.
how was your experience in Lisbon?
Sorry.
How was your experience in Lisbon?
Um, so it's I think if you come from Switzerland, almost every country seems more open, or people seem to be more open to being photographed. But I had a couple of instances where someone was, yeah, maybe not angry, but a bit challenging. Why taking their picture, and what am I going to do with it? Um, um, I imagine also Lisbon is probably a destination for all types of photographers and influencers, and it maybe is a bit tiresome that you cannot kind of, as someone who lives there, you cannot go from point A to B without being photographed 10 times. Um, but overall, I think I mean, it's aside of just the visual spectacle that Lisbon provides, the people are super nice and they're very open.
The food is good as well. And do you think it's a good city to do street photography?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I went to Porto 3 times, and one time only I was only one time in Lisbon. So I'm still a bit biased. I think Porto is also amazing. But I said I need to go to Lisbon again. Maybe this year if I'm lucky.
Okay. Let me know if you're here.
Absolutely.
So how do you develop this your style, and why do you focus mostly in monochrome and not color?
So the style was again a mixture of I think of this kind of uh, lawyer's background and sensitivity to aspects of privacy. Uh, then coming from Poland, and it was already 20 years ago that I left Poland, but then very quickly I came to Switzerland, and both countries or both nationalities are a bit withdrawn and a bit distanced. So I think people a lot they notice a camera in someone's hand a lot quicker than somewhere else. I mean, in New York, you can do basically anything you want, and no one notices it. I think in Paris, although the legal situation might be similar, I think the French are more um, just maybe self-confident, and they feel like I'm being photographed because I'm interesting, because I'm beautiful, because I'm stylish. Uh,
I must
and
be
this
very
and
special for someone wants to capture me.
Yeah, and in Switzerland, I think people are a bit self-conscious about it. So a combination of this, and I myself, I'm maybe a bit more on the introverted side. So I don't really, if someone challenges, why am I taking a picture? I really do not mind deleting it or just giving up. But then somehow the combination of all those aspects led me to this particular style that focuses maybe more on just light and shadow and spaces and environments that just wait for a human presence, but they are kind of, um, you know, even without the human presence, they are already interesting. And then the person that enters it maybe gives it a sense of scale or this human element, a connection, but doesn't necessarily become a subject of the photograph.
To also use a bit of the architecture as a composition.
Yes, so that's I
One is
guess
very nice
that's
because you have the kid here.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
I mean that was. in Zurich. It's in Zurich, and there is a Landesmuseum, so the National Museum in Zurich, and it has an old part which looks a bit like a castle, and then uh, they built a new modern part behind it, and this is part of this modern part, and it's all concrete and steel and glass, and it's very, almost brutalist. Um, and it's just you have all those angles, and in the summer the light is very sharp there, and it just gives hundreds of opportunities. I think every photographer that I know from Zurich has at least a couple of shots from this place. Um, and this was just this, one moment when this kid, and there is a so behind these are windows to a souvenir shop, and there are toys there. So it's very often that kids are interested and are trying to look through the windows to see what's inside. Um, and again, following this, I like the people in my pictures to be anonymous, to be small, to give the sense of scale, and to be sometimes even dwarfed by the
What you want to,
architecture.
what you want to convey with a sense of scale, being the human subject very small compared with everything else.
I, I think this is to an extent, it's maybe also a projection of how I feel in a city. I think uh, we are caged by the cities, and it depends. Lisbon maybe is a golden cage and a nice one to be in. In other countries, it depends a bit on the maybe on the time of the year. But I feel I have this connection to architecture, and this is probably why when I started street photography with this friend of mine, and he was very much focused on architecture, and growing up in Poland, if you ever been, then there is a lot of heavy concrete brutalist architecture, and I think it stayed somewhere with me that we are these small animals caged in these huge cities.
Do you think you are
Um,
engaged in big cities? Wouldn't you say because it's so in big cities you're more anonymous, so you have more freedom than actually in small cities that everyone knows everyone and what everyone is doing?
um, Absolutely, but I don't think that the one contradicts the other. I live in a village, so here we really all know each other, and it's very difficult to do street photography in a village. And I work in Zug, which is a kind of middle-sized Swiss city, but the middle-sized Swiss city means 40,000 people, and Zurich is the biggest city in Switzerland, and it's also only 250,000, I think, or 300. Um, so, these are not metropolis, but I still think that, it gives us, maybe the photographer, a freedom to move around and to be anonymous, and to photograph also anonymously other people. But it's more about how I feel about, our kind of daily lives. There was this project sorry, I don't remember the photographer, but it was an absolutely stunning idea that I think it was in New York, that he was photographing a specific corner over a period of 10 years. And there were people, and he remembered the people that he
I
started with,
saw, I saw that. Yeah, that's brilliant and
and
amazing.
they were, they were obviously, in a span of 10 years, and they were dressed in other clothes, but the clothes were still similar,
And the
and the
expressions, they were
gestures,
the expressions, the ones that were like this heavy expressions, sadness. They continue to do that for, yeah, it's amazing.
and I feel this is a bit our our fate of the city dwellers, that we are caged a bit, and again, my photography is just a way of expressing how I feel about it, and being mindful, and I guess this is how I feel, that we.
But Janusz, is it the fate of living in the city, or is the fate of people that don't want to change anything in their lives and do the same for decades?
That might absolutely be, yeah, that might absolutely be. But I don't
I'm
want
just
to.
challenging. I like to challenge a line of thought.
And that's the right thing to do. And I'm probably challenging myself with my photography here, and it's kind of by day. I'm a corporate lawyer, so it's a very structured way of working and living. And then whenever I have free time, um, I, I I would even say I need this to kind of uh, get my mind right, and get into
Sometimes
the.
changing is not changing the city or your profession. Sometimes it's a mindset, right? And I
Yeah,
think what it
absolutely.
goes through that project is some people have the same mindset throughout their lives. So, and basically the message is change something so you don't look so sad.
Hmm.
So here it is. You like also reflections, which gives this dreamy, ghosty. I don't know. This reflection is annoying me. Um, ghosty feel.
Yeah.
What? How do you read your this photograph?
So again, on one hand, there is always this topic of anonymity, and they're maybe not showing the reality as it is, but just as distorted in some way, and reflections are the perfect way to distort the reality, to show somehow um, something that is, but in a different way, and maybe to give it a bit more atmosphere, and how you feel about it. I work on another project where I try to photograph everything through windows, and the more distorted the window, or the more distorting the window is, the better. Um, for this particular project, I'm considering going color again, because sometimes the light is super interesting. But it's still in very, very early stages. But yeah, shadows, reflections, it all kind of um, gives another layer to what we see. And I, I I just enjoy having, or being able to show this other layer. Um,
You said
and
you're working in several long-term projects. You want to disclose some of them to us?
yeah, so sure. The main one is definitely uh, called privacy of light, and this is what, the one that I'm spending the most time on, and conveniently in Switzerland, this is the narrative that is easy to build. Um, I have a couple of others, and I'm always, I'm trying to have an eye open for all of those. Uh, One is called No One Here, and this is really going into just almost pure abstraction and light and shadow. It still, I consider it street photography because it always is a urban environment, but sometimes uh, I don't think that it would be clear to the viewer that it is an urban environment. Sometimes it's really abstract. Um, and I want to get later back to the inspiration for this because this is something that surprised me in the last year. Another one is about animals in the cities. I think it's a bit overplayed, but still kind of interesting. I think a lot of street photographers are, using the pigeons and cats and whatnot. I think, everyone loves a cat picture. And the pigeon in the right place is also seems to be the new trend. Uh, but it is interesting that they are kind of coexisting with us in the city, and to an extent, um, sometimes it feels they adopted completely to living in an urban environment, and they are not really wild animals anymore. Although they live to an extent by themselves in the city. So that's super interesting. And I think one New York photographer, he's doing a series on pigeons and he calls them the kind of the real New Yorkers. And that's
I believe every city has a lot of pigeons. Here in Portugal, they are called the rats with wings.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. That's
but
I
also
think we
we have a
call
lot
them
of
everywhere.
seagulls, which is more interesting. Very aggressive ones if you have food.
Yeah, but it's a thankful subject, I think, because it gives you this kind of opportunity for pictures that are definitely not, or definitely very spontaneous, because you cannot really predict what they do, but when you can place them in the right place, in the right moment, and give it somehow a visual coherence, then it works. It works very well. And then finally, I have kind of my personal project is called Peripheral Light, uh, and it's a bit. I think it's not really something that would do well on Instagram, uh, and I think, by the way, that a lot of us are a bit the ones active on Instagram are a bit drawn into this what kind of gets the likes or follows or whatnot. And obviously, this is not a platform that supports pictures that need to be printed big to be appreciated. So I think a lot of us have this kind of B projects, or to an extent maybe A projects that just are not shown on Instagram and
You're
need to
not
be
showing
documented.
your projects in your page, are you?
Yeah, yeah. And I think printing is just something that we all should do more. I have a
Where are
friend
you
who
going
just
to show your work related with these projects? Because we don't see it in your page.
it's not yet on my page because it's not yet ready. So maybe about the project, the peripheral light is kind of inspired by filmmaking. By Krzysztof Kieślowski was a Polish director who got very famous in France, and he did a couple of movies that did very well, and then died relatively young in France. But um, the way these movies were structured, and he worked with very talented cinematographers there, is that a lot of what is meaningful happens outside of the frame. But the frame shows enough to kind of suggest what is happening and what should we pay attention to, or what should we maybe um, supplement in our own heads. And this is very, for me, very difficult to translate into photography, into still pictures. Uh, but I have a couple that I feel work, and I'm just looking for more. But this is, this is no rush. So whenever I feel I'm ready and there is a kind of coherent body of work, then obviously, it will be on my webpage, and then I will try to do maybe I don't know, a seal or an exhibition if I'm lucky. Yeah, this
This is
could be
very
one
cool
of,
because the people are very small and then they have these huge shadows.
yeah. So I like these pictures because there is this is something that a friend told me lately and hit me, that it was not about photography, but it translates very well into photography. The thing, or let's call it, for sake of this argument, an aesthetic that you like, that you enjoy watching, that you maybe, your favorite photographers are known for, uh, is not necessarily the thing that you were good at. You might be actually better at other things. So uh, to translate this particular picture into this, I very much like street photography about gestures. Uh, if a street photographer, I think Matt Stewart is a perfect example of this, and obviously Martin Parr was amazing at it. Uh, just to be humorous and funny in pictures, and capture gestures that are somehow out of place or give the picture a second meaning. Um, but although I enjoy it very much, I'm not particularly good, skilled about finding these situations and photographing them. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes I can combine this with my own aesthetic, which is again light and shadow, anonymity, distance, ambiguity. And for this particular picture, the gesture was also there. So I took a couple of pictures of this couple, and I like this very much because it
But
combines
where
the.
were you? Since you were in a high place?
Yeah, it was in Paris a couple of weeks ago. This is the park. I'm not gonna butcher the name because I'm very bad at French, but the big park in the middle of Paris with the fun fair, and there is a when you enter it from the side, you're kind of on a balcony, and then there is this huge uh, area where people just walk around, and there are a couple of ponds that you can sit around. So you have this vantage point of maybe 2, 3 meters. It's not too much, but now in winter, the sun is uh, very low. So
What time
even
was it? Do you remember?
it it was not that late. It was maybe 2 o'clock.
Oh,
But because of the angle, the shadows are already quite long, so you can just get this effect. And I also the two pictures that you showed, I enjoyed very much. Uh, I mean, to an extent, it's a trick to flip the picture upside down.
yeah,
Sometimes it just gives a
it's
new
interesting.
angle, a new
A
meaning.
different view captures our gaze. So tell me, what would advice would you give to people that would like to develop series? Because series or projects are very interesting. They have a line of thought. They have, a story in background. What would you advise to photographers if they wanted to go through that route?
Um, I think what worked for me was for a very long time, and I think I put it even in my bio on Instagram, was consistency is overrated because everyone was saying you need to be consistent, you need to develop a style, you need to, and I was just always feeling no, but you miss so much opportunities. You just photograph everything that speaks to you, uh, and um, and you can build a series out of these different scraps. And I think, and a couple of years ago, I admitted, at least for myself, it didn't work. It's just if you photograph everything, there is no coherence. You will never build a series, and that's why I was for the 25 years that I do street photography, I mean on and off. Uh, for 20 years out of these, I was just doing single shots, and if I'm lucky, maybe I can find some of the old shots and they kind of now work with something else that I'm doing now. But actually, consistency is everything. It's super important for me. It doesn't mean that you need to focus on one thing, but you need to define a couple of things, and then you have your eye open for those. And when maybe in the beginning you don't feel that much difference, but after some time, it really works. You're so much into it that they trigger you. When you pass the situations that work with your projects, they trigger you, and you know I need to photograph this. So I think define couple. I have, I don't know, I have five, six, maybe seven. And of course, sometimes you see something else and you can also take the shot and maybe it will work, maybe it will start a new project. Um, but don't sweat it if you miss it. The brilliant shots, they happen all the time. So, it's define what you want to say and have a couple of those projects and just look for those.
I think also it's important is to, as you said, have a line of thought and define what you want to shoot, but also put something of yourself there. And you touched a very important point before. That is, it's human to shoot for likes and followers and to capture the majority of people as you can to like your photo. But that makes things very similar, right? Because people like similar things, lines, scale, rule of thirds, everything that is, positioned in a certain way. So sometimes if you lose your soul doing your work because you want to be, how do you say, reach as much people as you can, or be more a mainstream photographer. I think the photos sometimes, and I feel that people lost a bit. They didn't lose their soul, but they are not putting their uniqueness there. And I think that's we can feel that in the photos. And sometimes it's better to be more a boutique or a niche, but differentiate ourselves in some ways, because otherwise it's just too many, because we have too many photographers, too many images going on, and now we have AI, so it's very confusing. It's like seeing the same again and again. So I think it's important to your work to reflect who you are, your vision, how you see the world, because that's what we want to see from an artist. I don't know, at least it's my, I like
Yeah,
this one a lot.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree, 100%. I think, but still, Instagram or social media or whatever platform there is, nothing else gives us this opportunity, and it is amazing. It's just the key is not to lose yourself to it, right? And I think, I try to do one for Instagram, one for me, and one that works with a project. And that's kind of I try to post on Instagram in this rhythm. This one is it's from Sicily. I
Mm.
was there on a business trip actually, and I stayed a weekend in Catania.
Oh, I love
And
Catania. It's very nice.
yeah, and Catania is I feel uh, okay. This was my first time in Sicily, but I was in Italy a lot of times, and I think Catania is just amazing because it's super authentic. It's not this typical touristic city. Yeah, I mean, you have uh, I think Italy, the blessing and the curse of Italy is everything is so beautiful that just people want to come and see it. But Catania is just a real lived-in city,
It's a
and
very
this was
nice
in
place. It is.
and this was in just in a courtyard of an older um, uh, yeah, kind of at the living condominium, but I mean it's definitely 100
Which
years
part
old.
of Catania? You know?
This was uh, um, I'm not. Uh, it was somewhere in the center. I could find it on a map, but I cannot
Okay,
tell you
forget
by
it.
heart.
I understand you. I don't like that as well. I like this a lot as well.
This was yeah, this was a tricky one. Um, So I'm not sure if anyone actually understands what it is. That's the point of the picture to to ask yourself, what is it? Why does it look like that? So it is a what's it called? We call it a pergola. So this kind of sun cover that a shop uh,
Hmm.
puts up in front of the shop of the wall. So I put my camera very high under the pergola, and so that it aligned with the live screen helps them the live view that it aligns with the line of the sidewalk. And I just waited on people to go by, and it took me a while to actually have this one person that would
You really
align
have to
with the
wait, right?
yeah, what's it called? Like they are hunters and fishers,
The
right?
features and the hunter, you're a fisher. How long
I'm a
did you
fisher.
stay there to capture
Uh,
the
15 minutes, I think, at least.
30 minutes?
Uh,
After 30 minutes, usually I'm done. I say, okay, I come. I will return
yeah,
another day. I will not stay like 2 hours.
so
It's too much for
this
me.
is also from Paris, and so I went to Paris a couple of weeks ago, and first of all, it was raining the entire weekend. Uh, and then my kind of the point was, obviously I have some and on my profile you see them some shots with the Eiffel Tower and whatnot. But my main point was to take pictures that you feel are from Paris, but you don't recognize that they are from Paris. And I think with this one I kind of made it. I have a soft spot for the kind of classical street photography with starting with Bresson and then uh, the French group Kudelka and Kudelka
Brassai.
is
I love Brassai.
Brasai, absolutely. And Kudelka is close to my heart because he was an expat from kind of my region. He was from Czechia, and um, so it's I think Paris, as much as it is the probably most along New York over photographed city in the world. So it's very very difficult actually to do something that was not done 100 times
For me,
before.
I see Paris like classic, old school photos, and romantic, about, more at night and things like that. I have a project. I have to go back actually to continue that project. And also always inspired by Brassai, more than any others, because I think it reflects what was in the past, like romantic, full of creativity, moody, mysterious, those old
Absolutely.
lamps, everything like that. I love it.
Yeah,
The
this is
reaction,
probably
the subject, and light and shadow.
this is probably my along with another one.
Triangles, you
This
have
is
triangles.
Yeah, I like triangles, and this is probably my most successful picture of 2025. Um, it was so it's very close to the place with the kid and the circular windows. Um, and I chased this gentleman for a couple 100 meters because just of his style, and it's I think the curse of today's time is the clothes. I just hate how we are what the clothes we are wearing nowadays. It's like if you have 10 people in a picture and they are not in a somehow a club, all of them look completely differently, and there is zero coherence. And if you look at the old pictures of Bresson, Brassai, and so on, like all of all the men, they had a hat, and maybe one of them didn't, and I think the visual aesthetic loves repetition, and it's like right now it's all puzzle. So black and white is one remedy to it already. You can a bit, hide this cacophony of forms and shapes. Um, but again, this gentleman, it could be 60s, it could be 80s, it could be today, and the pair in the background, they are small enough. I love how the triangle actually is pointing to them. I have his shadow. I had a couple of pictures, but in some the shadow was cut. So and this is really full frame. I don't think that I cropped it at all. So
I
yeah,
love fashion,
that's
so I'm going to challenge you a bit. I think every era and decade has its own style that reflects a bit the mindset and the culture of that time and also evolution. So I think it's good that we don't dress like we used to dress in the 60s and 60s. I mean, I love it, and I love the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. But as we evolve, also fashion goes along with it. And I think it's nice to see different things and sometimes very crazy stuff. And I think the 80s and 90s actually were much more diverse in terms of clothing and fashion, because you had the gothics, the psychedelics, the punks, and everything. Everyone was very expressing themselves very freely. And actually, now people are very conservative, low key. You don't see much exuberance. Um, and I think it reflects also the mindsets of today. But I think fashion is part of defining also each century, each decade, each era. So it's naturally you will find people. It's finding What's
I
interesting
get what
about
you're
that
saying.
change?
Absolutely. No, and I mean, everything, the disclaimer, lawyer's disclaimer, everything that I say is obviously just from
No,
my perspective
I
and
just
my,
like to sometimes, I'm a lawyer as well, so I will always challenge you.
but if, no, on the other hand, if, again, if, bring back the great Martin Parr, I mean, he, he was the master of cacophony, right? Of those different shapes and colors, and every decade
But
looking
UK is
differently.
very good for that. They are completely out of the box in terms of visuals compared with other countries. And actually, I love that because they really don't care much about what other people think,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is good.
There there was a Polish
Oh,
photographer
no,
that
I
was,
love this one. This one was taken where? It's very
yeah.
mysterious.
So
Like,
this is
these hands.
so. If the last one was my most successful picture, this is definitely my favorite. And
That
this is not only my
great.
favorite.
Yeah.
This is not only my favorite from last year. I think it's the overall my favorite picture that I ever made. It's in Zurich. It's at the Limmat River, and just it's kind of, if you would turn right, then you would see the Grossmünster, which is the church with the two towers uh, that everyone is photographing, and I just liked the stairs with the handle, and that was the point. I was very much hoping that someone would reach for it. It was wet, so I had to wait a long time actually. And again, serendipity that you have this kind of the queue of people with the umbrellas, and umbrellas covering them being in the shadow, which is fully aligned with my approach.
It seems a photo from actually the classics, the masters. And it's
I
very
I think,
mysterious,
yeah.
very artsy, it's great. It's a great photo. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great compliment, and that's the reaction that I try to get from this picture. This one was in Munich. This um, I was again in Munich on business, and I stayed over, and it was the time of the Oktoberfest, and I actually wrote to a photographer that I only knew from Instagram and only knew from his pictures. I think we never interacted beyond a couple of comments. He's a super talented and super nice guy, Michael Jakob. And I asked him if we could go on a photo walk. And by the way, he also told me that from all of my pictures, he likes the one with the hand and the umbrellas the most. And he showed me he kind of took me on a tour, and that was also the nicest thing that someone could do. He took me on a tour of places that he thought I would like, based on my Instagram profile. Yeah, this one, I think he told me it's nearby um, there is a museum there, and there is, I think, a Jewish community center. And he told me it's one of the most photographed spots in Munich, because again of this kind of minimalistic architecture. And I had a couple of shots with the triangles again, and small people for scale.
You have triangles in this one as well. I can show you some. So this one is a triangle. This
Yeah,
one is a
yeah,
triangle.
yeah,
I'm sure you have more. You have more one here.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You love triangles.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think I never noticed it that clearly. So That's on you now. I think that might be a new
But
project.
triangles, I think photographers, we use a lot without noticing it. Just when we start to read the image, we start to noticing it.
You can have a very boring picture and you put stark triangles in it and it becomes dynamic. And again, this is also maybe not boring. It's also unique and also on the work with Michael. Um, I I love what are they called? What are they called? So the kind of the covered,
Yeah,
they
it's like
called
a bridge
light books or
passage.
yeah, and there aren't that many, I think, nowadays. I think they were popular. I think there are some in New York, and I always look for them. And if you can get a silhouette of someone in there, and here with the again with the stark shadow, with the triangle and the cyclist, I just loved it. And we didn't. This was not even fishing that much because I think it just happened 30 seconds after we arrived there. We stayed a bit longer trying to find different angles, different shots, but this was
It's
definitely fun.
because you have repetition, you have lines, you have triangle,
And the
you
light,
have
the light is
silhouette.
beautiful because you have this, you have this, and I really don't, um, I don't work on my pictures too much. They are either done with like a monochrome or converted to black and white. And other than that, it's mostly contrast and maybe some
Do you
double.
shoot in black and white or color and then you convert to black and white?
I usually shoot in black and white with the monochrome, but yeah, if I'm going somewhere with my kids or with my family, then I have my color camera, and then if I take a shot that goes well with my projects, then I convert to black and white. But I am committed to black and white, and I always ask myself before when I mean Leica started the monochrome cameras years ago, and I always thought, is it yeah, can you really commit yourself that much? And then I bought one, and it's very freeing.
It's very intuitive for you. So, Janis, we're reaching our time. Do you want to leave a final message for people?
Um, Absolutely. So, hey, go out and photograph what you feel is interesting. I mean, I know that a lot of my friends who are photographers, uh, they they do it as their job, and I think it's then even more important than the work you do for yourself is really putting yourself out there and don't chase trends and Instagram likes. But on the other hand, I always feel everything should be done in proportion, and this is how I treat it. So, do one for Instagram, do a couple, ideally do a couple for yourself. Um, and sequencing is also a good point. You can show yourself to the world through, you do a carousel on Instagram, you put the first one, that is the so-called scroll stopper. But the second one, the third one, the fourth one, these are yours, and they will see it, and I think that's the whole point, right? We want to show it.
Yeah, it's true. Janis, thank you very much for accepting our invite and being here. I wish you
Thank you
a
for
wonderful.
inviting me.
And if you come to Lisbon, please let me know. I have an invite to go to Switzerland through Cesari. She's from F 0.4. So let's see what happens and
Yeah,
hope
and
to meet you in person and
if you're in
continue your
Switzerland,
great work.
Switzerland is super small, so it's like 3 hours max, and I'm anywhere in Switzerland that you can be. So let
Okay.
me know.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.